Good afternoon and welcome to Let's Get Personal. First and foremost, I want to thank you guys for sending in questions regarding co parenting. I hope I was able to answer all, if not most of them. But if you have some more, please send them in and I will get to those. So far, that has been the most viewed series, so thank you so much. Now, let's get into today's question that was sent in to me. How long should you wait after your divorce until you start dating? Okay, so here's the deal. I don't think there is a set time. There's no like right or wrong answer to this question. But I will say, I remember my therapist telling me to wait at least a year. Um, she said that it would give me time to discover and learn all these unknown things about myself. She was right because I did, because I was still going to therapy during this time. I will say it terrified me to think about dating again after the stress of going through a divorce, during and after. If you've been through a divorce, you know exactly what I'm talking about. After all, guys, the last time I was on the dating scene was when I was 14 years old. 14, that's my son's age. So much had changed since then, and I remember having like those thoughts of who's going to want to date me. I had three small children. I hadn't even turned 30 yet. Like, do men date women with small kids? I don't know. I hadn't experienced any of this. It was all new to me. Then you listen to your girlfriends like I did, and because mind you, when they were in their 20s, they were out dating and having fun, and I was married having kids, so we had like our roles were switching now. I remember listening to their dating stories, and now like I was going to be in those same shoes, and that part was scary. Again, if you've been there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I heard their online dating stories, to friends hooking them up with people. I had heard all the worst stories and probably some really good ones, but now I was going to have to hop into this world. So brace yourself if you are going through this. It is a process. Listen, everyone has their own timeline for when they might want to get out there and start dating. But more important, what I learned is that it's not the length of time, it's what are you doing during the time, during, I guess, the transition time, I'll call it. It's extremely important to be self reflective and actually mourn the loss of the relationship or divorce, as well as learn what you can do to be better in the next relationship. I stayed in therapy even after I decided to get a divorce to work on myself. It wasn't until then that my therapist like took a mirror and said, "Take a look at this young lady you see." Basically, say goodbye to some parts of her because you're going to transition into and transform into a new woman, and you are going to be so thankful that you have done the work now. Now that I'm in my late 30s, I appreciate everything that I did during that time. We had to undo some bad habits, take a deep look into my childhood because we all know that that is what shapes who we are as adults. I wholeheartedly believe working on myself was one of the best decisions I made because it allowed me to explore so many pieces of myself that, to be honest, I didn't even know existed. And I had to own all those pieces, which is the most important part because we all live in a world where we don't like to own our own, you know what. So for me, it was about 8 months. Again, I will tell you, I was still in therapy, working on myself and everything that comes with getting a divorce. And I'll talk about those layers at a different time. Um, I think we have an idea of what our life will look like and have it all planned out. But the truth is, we don't know who we're going to meet or when. Case in point, me. I met someone about 8 months after filing for divorce. Once we met, all we did was exchange phone numbers. I wasn't living here in Houston at the time. So at that point, all we had was each other's name, first name. That's it. Um, that was a kind of us. That was like the start of us chatting on the phone, getting to know one another. Nothing more, nothing less. But I did know I had to tell him like my current situation, not even realizing, knowing what his situation was. Because I knew he would eventually ask me, like, where do you live? Why do you live in Cali? So, ladies and gentlemen, please be honest about your situation, your past. Don't mislead anyone. Give them the opportunity, give them the facts and the opportunity to walk away if they so choose. Don't take their choices away. That is my biggest pet peeve. Don't take someone's choice away. After all, if they can't accept you for who you are, then do you really want them in your life? So one day, actually, we were on the phone, and he did ask why I lived in Cali, and I told him that I would rather have that conversation in person, because I think you need to have those conversations in person. So the next time I would be in Houston, I would, if he was available, I could sit down and talk to him about my situation. Fast forward, I came to Houston. We ended up meeting up, and I laid everything out on the table. Everything. I wanted to give him the option to either continue to get to know me or not. And if you're in that situation, please do that. Do not take people's choices away. And basically, at the end of me telling him my kind of like where I was in my situation, I asked him, does any of that bother you? Do you, I guess like want to exit stage left essentially? And he said no. He said he'd rather get to, if he was going to get to know me, he would rather get to know me for me and not what I was going through or what I had been through. And so it wasn't a problem. I gave him the option. Ladies and gentlemen, give people the option. But again, that's all we had was phone conversations for the next few months. So it was around, I guess, a year before we actually, quote unquote, started dating. But please give people the options. I can't tell you how many times I hear my sister, or I've experienced it for my own self, when you're out there dating and people don't want to be honest about their situation. Like, why is that? Give people the option. I'm not a relationship expert. I don't claim to be. I'm just willing to share my own experiences with you guys. Again, some people say wait until it's completely final. I know divorces can take long. Mine did. So some people don't want to wait that long. But I've heard stories on both sides. So again, it's up to you as the individual. Remember, it's important to know not the length of time, but what are you doing during that time. If you've been through a divorce, you know it's emotionally draining. If you've been on the dating scene, you know it requires a certain amount of, I guess, vulnerability, uncertainty, and willingness to feel a range of emotions in hopes of making some type of positive connection and perhaps eventually a relationship with an individual. I think where people go wrong is entering dating thinking you have to get married. You don't. Date and have fun. Instead of putting all that pressure on yourself, look at it as an experience to learn more about yourself and the new life you're creating moving forward. Every relationship doesn't have to end in marriage, and don't make people feel pressure to do so, or your outside friends and family feel pressure to it all has to end in marriage. Remember, all relationships have their own set of challenges. The point of dating should be to figure out what you're looking for in a partner. What are your deal breakers? What are the things you value the most? That is the point of dating. Figuring all that out while you're dating will save you time, like as you continue through the dating world, because then you'll be able to kind of like weed out the people if they don't match. And if you see a deal breaker early on, you can point it out. If they don't value the same things as you can quickly point that out. Again, just willing to share my experiences, but it's up to the individual. And the next question, I guess, next week is like dating and kids. That's a whole nother ball game. But I've navigated myself through that. So continue to send in questions. Love answering them. I hope this helps somebody, because I know there are many people going through divorce and you have uncertainty of what that's going to look like moving forward. Be kind to yourself, love yourself, and most importantly, do the work that it takes to, when you finally meet that person, you are a whole person and you've worked through any issues from the past relationship and you're not carrying those into your new relationship. Have a good day, guys.